So I'm supposed to be asleep. It's 2:17 in the morning, Saturday morning. But before I really went to sleep, I wanted to get into this book right here. And I said, I want to, do some reading before I go to bed. And this book is called Defectors by Paola Ramos. And it's talks about the rise of the Latino far right and what it means for America. Let me tell you that I'm only 9 pages in, and I am like, wow, I want to keep reading because it's so far really good. And I came across this very interesting fact that I never knew before. And I don't know if you guys know it, but I want to share it with you because it really caught my eye and it makes me really excited to learn what else I'm going to find here in this book. I mean, this is a great read already. And I want to thank my sister in Christ for recommending this book to me, Dr. Chris Purnell. It was actually via a video that she sent me on Shea Guerrero's page. He's here on TikTok and on Instagram. I follow him, love his content. One of my very woke Dominican brothers out here. And it's a really great read so far. But let me share this with you guys. And for those of you who know about it already, awesome. If you don't, I think it's a great piece of history to know. This man pictured here is Santos Benavides. And he was a Texan Mexican who fought for the Confederate Army against the Union, okay, in the American Civil War. And as you can see in the writing beneath my image here, he was the highest ranking Mexican Texan in the Confederate Army. And now listen to this. I'm going to share an excerpt with you of what Paola Ramos talks about in regards to Santos Benavides and the history of Mexican Americans and their involvement in the American Civil War. So Paola Ramos states in this book that over 10,000 Mexican Americans joined the war for the Union's cause. Okay, they joined the Union Army and the militia. And even though they were violently discriminated against by white soldiers, they still joined because there was overwhelming opposition by Mexican Americans to slavery, okay? However, okay, at least 2,500 Mexican Americans, most of them Tejanos, also joined the Confederate Army. I did not know this. And the most prominent was Colonel Santos Benavides, who lived in Laredo, Texas, steps away from the U.S.-Mexican border. Benavides became the highest-ranking Tejano officer in the Confederate Army, and he built a reputation as a slave catcher. There are records of him crossing into Mexico to retrieve runaway enslaved people and either return them to their enslavers or jail them. There are records of Benavides defeating fellow Mexican Americans who had joined the Union and invading northern Mexico, the land of his roots, to retaliate against the Union-inspired factions that had formed there. With time, Benavides earned the respect of white Confederates, who praised him for his bravery and commitment to capture runaway Negroes. Wow. I never knew this. I never, ever knew this. And she talks about this to draw a parallel between the far-right Latinos that we saw being completely recruited to Trumpism and that we saw participate in the January 6th insurrection, who stormed the Capitol, and those far-right Latinos who are white supremacists, who are always seeking proximity to whiteness and who are always seeking approval from the racist whites of this nation. Wow. I thought that was a great piece of information, a great piece of history for those who didn't know it. I wanted to share it. I definitely wanted to share it because it's important to understand that what it points out to me is that these far-right Latinos it didn't just start, like become so prominent when, we saw Trumpism and all of these things that, we see these scattered events happen across a couple of years. It's not just isolated events, but this is something that has been present amongst the Latino community for a very, very long time. And Trump coming into office and being able to successfully court Latinos and win them over, across not just, politics, but even so-called Christian Latinos who are Trump supporters and white supremacists and don't want to acknowledge that they are. But this is something that has been brewing. It has been happening for generations. And this is exactly what this book is addressing. So as I continue to read the book, I'm going to continue to share what I'm reading about. Like I said, I'm excited to learn what else is in this book. So far, 9 pages in, and I'm already hooked. So stay tuned. Yahweh bless.